Hello, everyone. Welcome in. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit a like, and give us a comment. I'm Nigel Seeley, and I'm joined today by our ATP Tour handicapper, senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert, and we've just come through a bit of an epic. Novak Djokovic just beaten Carlos Alcaraz in 4 sets. It's a long old match.
Just finished a few minutes ago.
Come through to the semi-finals of the Australian Open. What a performance from Novak!
Yeah, I mean, it was great, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't looking good for him, was it? At the end of the first set, when he obviously lost the first set, and there was a problem, as there often is. There was a problem with his body. I think it was the left thigh that seemed to be the issue. He didn't seem to be able to move very well. But how many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen Djokovic have what appears to be a quite a debilitating injury, and within 20 minutes, half an hour, he's running around like a spring chicken. And in a way, I thought might have helped him, that sort of injury. I think because he went so aggressive when he came back from that break after the first set. I think he probably thought to himself, well, I can't hang with Alcaraz for another 3 or 4 sets in this condition. I'm going to have to go for it, and he certainly did. He played great, served great, returned great. A lot of aggression on his shots, and Alcaraz was a little scratchy again. He has, as I said, he's changed his racket, he's changed his service a little bit. There's little tweaks there, but lots and lots of mistakes from Alcaraz again, and there was very few from Djokovic. I've not seen the stats because it's only just finished 5 minutes ago, but I should imagine a ton more unforced errors from Alcaraz. Djokovic played, he played great. Fair play to him. I did say, didn't I, when we talked about this match, that Alcaraz was too short, and I think my lean was Djokovic plus 1.5 sets, which would have. I think the leans are doing all right, actually, aren't they? I think pretty much everything I said on the last show, which we didn't have as official plays, won. So, yeah, it's Novak Djokovic again, showing he can still cut it at this age.
Well, we did say at the beginning of the tournament, well, I did. I thought it was a massive fade of 6-1. I just couldn't have him. And I think you on the show you gave 2 people to oppose him in the quarter.
Yes.
So essentially, you were more or less agreeing with what I was saying there in terms of I didn't think it, but the market now on the outright market is now plus 225 to win the Australian Open. The tournament is won so many times. Jannik Sinner is even money.
Big ask. Still
plus 225. 320 for Alexander Zverev, Alex de Minaur 20, Ben Shelton 28, and Lorenzo Sonego 125 to 1. Yeah, but it's that's what I was going to say. He's won that match now.
Mm-hmm.
Can he go on and win it? As you said, it's a big ask. But
I think it's a
big
big
test now.
I think it's a big ask physically. He's come off and he's just done the post match and stuff, and said about his leg and how am I going to feel once the medication has got itself out of his system. He's what 37, 38 years of age now. He's just played that long match until 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, with Alcaraz. I can't imagine the match with Zverev is going to be over quickly. I can't see it. I can't see Djokovic cruising through that 3-0 or an easy 3-1. That's got another sort of 3 or 4 hours on it, I think. And if he comes through that, then he'll probably have to play Sinner. So plus 225. No, not for me.
We'll be covering that match tomorrow here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. But today, it's all about today's matches. Ben Shelton against Lorenzo Sonego and Jannik Sinner against Alex de Minaur. And we're going to start off with the match between Shelton and Sonego. 10:30 today, Eastern Time. Shelton is minus 278. Lorenzo Sonego plus 225. Spread 3.5. Total, a massive 42.5. Can't believe that total high. But Shelton, obviously, those are tie breaks. Big serving. We know that. Sonego, bit in and out, but he's done well. But now he's up against an opponent that isn't playing exceptionally well. How do you see this one going?
I can see why the totals are as high as they are. I'll talk about the stats in a minute. I think Ben Shelton's too short here. We need to just briefly touch on the weather again, as we often do at Melbourne. Much cooler on Wednesday, which is obviously when these matches are going to be played local time. Much cooler than it has been. We've seen the peak heat of this tournament. The next few days are going to be a lot cooler. Tomorrow, Wednesday, whichever way you want to look at it, much cooler and pretty windy as well. 16-mile-an-hour winds are expected. I haven't been on Rod Laver for quite a few years, actually, so I'm not sure how the wind gusts around in there, but It is pretty windy. If this match has been played at 2:30 local time, it's going to be only going to be about 20 or 21 degrees Celsius. So very, very cooler, much cooler than we've seen in the last couple of days. Day before today was a little bit cooler in the night session, but the earlier matches when we saw Sinner struggling, it's not going to be that sort of weather. So I think the wind could have an effect here. The fact that it's going to be slower anyway because there's no sunshine. It's much cooler, windy as well, which will make things a little bit difficult as far as the serving's concerned. All that could potentially favour Lorenzo Sonego, who won their French Open clash when they played Roland Garros a year or two ago. He won it pretty handily. Won it in 4 sets. Service points won and return points won totals 108-92. You would probably expect Sonego to win that on clay. He was a 1.4-ish favourite, minus 250 or so favourite there, Sonego. But he won it pretty well. You would think if you're Ben Shelton, you would want the quickest conditions possible, and that's not going to be the case here. They played once on a hard court as well. Ben Shelton nicked it in the end, 7-5. It was in Cincinnati. Shelton stole it 7-5. Well, stole it. He took advantage of a good situation. He took it 7-5 in the decider after rain had stopped play at 6-5 in the third set, with Sonego having to come back to serve after a substantial break, and he just dropped his serve. That being said, Shelton was a deserved winner overall because he was 104-96. Ahead in terms of service points won and return points won totals in that match, so he did deserve it, but it was very, very tight. If you also look slightly further into that match, return points won very, very few, just 27.1% for Sonego and only 30.7% for Ben Shelton. I know it was a couple of years ago, but even so, if we then move on to the stats of this Australian Open, their serving stats are identical. Ben Shelton and Lorenzo Sonego both won 73% of service points overall. That's first and second serve. And they both held serve 95% of the time. Again, return points very low for Shelton, only 31.5%. Sonego is better on 36.2, but it should be noted that Shelton's played much more powerful servers than Sonego has. Sonego played Lerner-Tien in the last round. He's certainly not a powerful server by any means. But that match, as far as Lorenzo Sonego is concerned, that should be at least a decent, not advantage, but a good situation for him, having played a left-hander. I know they're totally different players, Lerner-Tien and Ben Shelton, but both lefties. I always like when Ben Shelton's playing because there's no real comparison. There's no other player like Ben Shelton in terms of leftiness and the way that he plays. I think, as I said before, I think Denis Shapovalov is probably the closest, and Sonego's played 8 sets against Shapovalov. 5 of them have been tie breaks, and that includes one match being played on clay. So it just has tie breaks and a long match written all over it to me. 42.5, you said, was the line, wasn't it? That's not a surprise.
It's high though, isn't it? It's a high line, isn't it?
It is, but the stats do suggest that is highly likely. I mean, I can't see either player winning this in straight sets. That doesn't seem likely at all, given the way that Shelton is quite up and down in his matches as well. He doesn't have a level and kind of barely deviate from it. Sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down. Sometimes he's spraying errors all over the place. Sometimes he's not. He's been a little bit steadier recently, but he's still not someone that you would tend to back in straight sets. Just looking at his results here, he did beat Nakashima in straight sets, but it was 7-6, 7-5, 7-5. Nakashima, as he often does, pretty poor on big points. 4 sets against Carreno Busta. 4 sets, almost a 5th against Musetti. And obviously, the last match, Gael Monfils retired, but there was 3 tie breaks in that out of 3 sets. So I can see it being long. The only thing that would concern me potentially about Sonego is this is his first Grand Slam quarterfinal. He's never been to this stage before, 29 years of age. First time he's managed to get past round 4. He's only been in round 4 3 times, I think. So big match for Sonego, but I just think this, when I first looked at this price, when I first looked at the odds this morning, I did think Shelton was some way too short. He was minus 303, I think, when I looked at this morning. He has eased a bit since I've written this, actually. But I still like Sonego over 19.5 player games here. I think it's 1.81, that is, with Bet Rivers at the minute. I feel that's highly likely to come in. Sonego might not win the match, in all probability, probably won't win the match, but I expect him to put up a very, very strong fight. And given the statistics and the profile of these two players, I think this is the bet in this match.
Yeah, I think Sonego here at the prices is a decent bet on the overs. As you said there's so many different markets available on the Bet Rivers website. Download the app. Loads of markets. So looking at Sonego games is potentially the way to go. 3.5 is the spread. Total 42.5. It does just look a little bit too high, me, 42.5. Like if it was 40.5, I would say yeah, that's an over. But 42.5 does seem a little bit too high. The last match they played was in the French Open, and he went to 4 sets, and it only covered 37. So that's obviously the conditions are slightly different here, but I think the conditions do suit Sonego, and on the money line, I think he's potentially a little bit of value here at plus 225. We looked through the head-to-head there. We found an angle. We found some sort of positives to have an angle. I know you like to look at your head-to-heads or look at the statistics of the players.
Yeah.
And the next match, we got a minus 530 favourite. Number 1 seed, defending champion Jannik Sinner is up against the local favourite Alex de Minaur. Alex de Minaur is plus 410. The head-to-head here is 9-0 to Jannik Sinner. De Minaur has only ever once won a single set against Jannik Sinner. Spread here is 6.5. Total here much lower, 7 games lower than the Shelton Sonego game at 35.5 with over minus 110 and under minus 110. If you are a follower of the head-to-head, you would be all over Jannik Sinner here. You'll be all over Jannik Sinner to win 2 sets to love because he has won 3 sets to love. He's won the last, I think, 8 meetings between the two of them without dropping a set. So do we go with the trend here? Do we bet Sinner? Not on the money line, but do we bet Sinner on cover the handicap? Or is there something you've seen in Alex de Minaur that he can change that on his head over the last week that he hasn't done over the last 4 years?
No, not really.
No.
Not really. Yeah, he's playing well at the minute, Alex de Minaur, but he has his ceiling. It's normally when he comes up against somebody like Sinner or Zverev or Djokovic or Alcaraz or whatever. He's a very, very good player, but is he good enough to beat Jannik Sinner over the best of 5 sets on a cool day? Probably not.
No.
The only thing you could say, it could be quite a big thing, is the physical situation with Jannik Sinner. It's something we've talked about many, many times over the last sort of couple of years on this show. Jannik Sinner's fitness, and he was down and out again, wasn't he? It was a very, very hot day. I'm not suggesting it wasn't. It was an extremely hot day when he played Holger Rune in the last round, and he won. I think he won the first set, and then second set, the old frailty started to kick in. He looked like he was, about to keel over. Went off for a rather lengthy medical timeout off court. I'm not entirely sure that was 100% within the realms of sportsmanship, but it is what it is. I'm pretty sure Holger Rune wouldn't have been too happy about it. And came back very much like Djokovic today. He came back all right again and managed to see things out against Holger Rune. What has that taken out of him is a question that it's certainly something that the Alex de Minaur team will be talking about, I should think. Geeing up their man, probably showing him videos of that match and saying, look, this guy is still a little bit frail physically. The problem is it's going to be much, much cooler when these guys play, bordering on chilly, sort of 18, 19 degrees. Obviously more humid, late night conditions. This is a night match, so if you are backing de Minaur, you're kind of hoping that Sinner isn't fit, really, because if you're looking at these two players, this matchup on an even keel, it's very hard to make any sort of a case for de Minaur, really. As you said, that the head-to-head is 9-0, and the statistics of that head-to-head are incredibly one-sided, as you would imagine, with a 9-0. Service points won and return points won totals 113 for Jannik Sinner and 87 for Alex de Minaur. Sinner winning far more points both on serve and on return, and winning far more points on second serve as well. De Minaur's only held serve 62% of the time in these matches against Sinner, and they've played all bar one on either hard or indoor hard, and he's still only held serve 62% of the time. I know he's a better server now than he was a few years ago when some of these matches were played, but is he that much better against Jannik Sinner? I wouldn't have thought so. If you look at the recent head-to-head, they only played a couple of months ago in Davis Cup, just over a couple of months ago, 6-3, 6-4 to Sinner. And obviously the World Tour Finals as well, a couple of weeks before that, the exact same score, 6-3, 6-4 to Jannik Sinner. So it's not a pretty picture to paint for Alex de Minaur, really. He's only won one set out of 21, as you said, against Sinner, and only one of the last 12 sets that they've played has gone past 10 games. So I couldn't really make a realistic case for de Minaur unless there's something wrong with Jannik Sinner, which, is possible, but, it's guesswork, isn't it? I think if you're having a bet on this match, it would appeal to me to go for the set one score. I've just said only one of the last 12 has gone past 10 games. So you're looking at, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4. 6-3 is the obvious choice to Sinner. That was a plus 265 chance for Bet Rivers when I looked at it at the odds earlier on. So I think that's probably where I would go if I was having a bit of a pizza money bet on this match. It's very difficult to recommend anything else, really, given the head-to-head. Obviously, I couldn't back Sinner at minus 530, but yeah, I'd go with the set score on this one if you're having a wager.
So what price is 6-3?
Plus 265.
Well, he's won 6-3 in four of his in four sets that he's played in the tournament. There's 4, 7, 11, 14. So 4 of 14 he's won 6-3. He hasn't gone. He's only gone twice to a tiebreak in the first round against Jarry. All the other ones have been unders. So you bet 9.5 or 10.5, you would have cashed in pretty much every single Jannik Sinner match, apart from a couple of sets against Giron and Schoolgate. But 10.5, you would have cashed on every single match after that first round. So he has been winning quite easy. He was shaking. He was quite nervous, wasn't he? Or illness, I don't know. But
in the Rune match, you mean? Sinner?
Yeah, I
think a lot of that was probably to do with his physical condition. I think it's, he doesn't take much to send him peculiar, does it, Sinner? We've seen it many, many times. That's one of the reasons I didn't really want to back him at just a shade of plus money at the start of the tournament, because, you never know in Australia. You can get a day when it's sort of 33, 34, 35, and if you get an unfortunate scheduling like the day match, that could put paid to your bet. It very nearly did, with Jannik Sinner. That being said, Holger Rune wasn't in the best of condition either, was he? He was struggling as well. So I don't know how many times we've talked about injury so far this season. It's only January the 21st.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's just...
What, 50-60% of the matches we've talked about?
I bet Rebecca are in the women's draw as well, game bet match.
She injured as well.
WTA. She had a back problem. She got beat with a back problem.
I saw she lost, but I didn't see what happened.
Yeah, she had a back issue against Madison Keys as well. So
she's injury prone as they come, Madison Keys. Well, I'm sure when she's ever been fit.
It's unbelievable. It's not only the men's game; it's the women's game as well. The injuries coming in, it's a serious worry. It's for the next few months as well.
I mean, this season has been. I've said it a few times. It has been. I've never known a season like this, or I can't remember. I say I've never known quite a lot. If someone reminds me of what happened 3 or 4 years ago, then maybe I would remember. But I don't recall any season starting like this. Yeah, there's been seasons when there's been more injuries, and I feel like it's been more recently with all the courts being slower, the matches being longer, the balls being heavier, all that sort of stuff. It does add up. A lot of people will be thinking, the players will be thinking, well, hang on a minute, look how many people are injured here, and it's the second, third, fourth week of the season. It's a worry, certainly, because I've not known so many matches and so many outrights be affected by injuries. I wouldn't expect to have 5 outrights down through injury and illness for the whole year, let alone the first month.
Yeah, it's a wild time. And Jannik Sinner obviously got that question mark about his fitness, but he's doing well at the moment. He's getting through matches. He's winning big points. He's winning big games at key moments. That's the key about it. He's winning sets 6-4, breaking at 4-4. He's winning 6-3. He's breaking an early break and staying with it. And he's playing the big points really, really well. And that's what it all comes down to. Winning those big points. And Jannik Sinner is obviously a man who's absolutely flying. Sean, let me go back to the outright market again. If we ask you now, okay, now we're at there's only 6 players in. And I said to you, Bet Rivers are going to give you $100 free bet. Who you having on?
I still think it would be Sinner. I mean, it's not a fascinating or original choice, but I think he's still the most likely winner. I think the weather hasn't. It doesn't look like it's going to get hotter again until. I don't think it's going to get hot at all until the day after the final. Actually, I think it's going to get to 34 the day after the final. But until the final, I think the hottest it gets is sort of 26, 27. I just can't see anybody else winning it unless injury and illness or injury, whatever, heat stroke, whatever it is, which seems unlikely, unless something that isn't tennis intervenes. I think it's a very tall order for Djokovic at his age to beat Alcaraz, Zverev, and Sinner back to back. Zverev, I'm still not convinced about him in the very big moments against the very big players in the very big matches. He still has that to prove for me. So yeah, I would sadly have to be quite unoriginal and say Jannik Sinner.
But he hasn't moved much in the price. I mean, he started the storm at plus 160, I think it was. He's now into the quarterfinals. There's only 6 players and he's $1. It shows you actually
how short it was in the first place.
Shows you you're better off to bet players. I think what price was it to start? 120 plus 120.
About, I can find it on my screen. About plus 130, I think.
Yeah. So he's got all the way to the quarterfinal. He's in his even money, and the draw has opened up for him. Alcaraz was gone, and all the market move has been for Zverev and Djokovic. So it shows you
plus 130.
You're probably better off to bet him individually each match when it's set behind. When you're better off to trade those. We're speaking about trading on the dojo this week, about trading. This is a perfect example to trade a player like this when you want him to win it. Zabalenka as well in the women's draw. They've got through to the quarterfinals and they're not far off where they were at the beginning. They're plus 135, Jannik Sinner.
Yeah.
Plus 325, the Alcaraz, plus 450, Djokovic is now obviously down to 225. And Alexander Zverev, the big move from $11 to almost 325. So interesting times. Jannik Sinner is the most likely person to win the tournament. He's even money to win it. Sean would actually bet him now if he was given a free bet, but Sean, I would go for the outside with the free bet and try and hit the big price.
Sonego, 125 to 1.
Yeah, we don't have a free bet and it's Sonego. But we've got so the official bet tomorrow today is.
Yeah, that's the in the Lorenzo Sonego, if I can say his name properly. Lorenzo Sonego against Ben Shelton match. I think it's going to be a long one. I think Sonego will probably cover or should cover the over 19.5 player games, which is 1.81 minus 119. I think that is Bet Rivers. That's my play for today.
Loads of markets. I gave Bet Rivers a bit of an injustice, really, when I said earlier, like 35 different markets. Got 61 different markets on both of these matches. Huge amount of markets. More to come as well tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be up to 70, 80 different markets. But 61 markets now currently on the Bet Rivers app. Make sure you download it. If you do download the app, you'll be able to watch the matches live on your tablet, your mobile device, or your home computer as well. And subscribe to the newsletter here, Betting Weekly Studios newsletter. A lot of content coming your way. Loads and loads of subscribers as well. As I said at the beginning of the show, a huge amount of subscribers this week. Our highest ever viewed week on the tennis content and on the soccer content as well. Keep subscribing. Keep telling your friends. We need to hit 10,000 subscribers. That's what we want to do. We'll hit that target because we keep doing this for you. Well, hopefully we can cash some tickets and hopefully we can cash tickets on Sonego. Good luck with your bets, Sean, today and tomorrow as well. We'll be back tomorrow with the big one. It's Novak Djokovic against Alexander Zverev, and we'll be talking about Sonego against Djokovic. Sonego against Sinner. We don't know.
All Italian affair. Well, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Lovely. That'd be lovely. Mamma mia. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, back again tomorrow on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Take care for tonight. All the best.